What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in to /. Before I get started, I want to give a huge thank you and a huge shout out to Nuno Amorum. Please let me know if I'm pronouncing that right. Huge shout out to you for being the first in my Commander Kernel tier. Much appreciated for contributing to my channel and helping me contribute to the Linux community. Now, this video is a little bit of a review / update, and it has to do with Q4OS. I did a review. I'll put a card in the corner for 2.6 and 3.3. 2.6 is based on Debian Stable, which is Stretch 9.5, and 3.3, which is what you're looking at now, is based on Debian Buster, which is currently in testing. So I also did a review on Netrunner, and I'll put a card up here as well for that. And in Netrunner, I was pointed out by Daniel, one of my viewers, that one of the sources was hashed out, which I didn't notice. I took that out, did an update, had 1,600 package updates, and it was a 1.4 gig download. Took a couple of reboots, but it worked. Everything came up to date. So I bring up Netrunner because Netrunner and Q4OS, which is what you're looking at now, are pretty much running identical since they're both running off of Debian Buster or Debian testing. So we have the same versions in both. So I'm just going to show you here a few things. Now, I've been running this for several days now. I think it's been over a week now, and I'm really impressed with how stable it's been. There has been a decent amount of updates, but nothing too crazy. And let's just have a look here. This is KDE version 5.13.5. So this is very new. It's one of the latest. The 5.12 version is the latest LTS, so this is a little bit ahead of its time. And I'm also running kernel 4.18, which is, again, forgot the space, 4.18, which is, again, very new. And it's actually a little surprising to me because newer kernels typically have issues with hardware. Nothing crippling, but I have some boot issues. Sometimes I've had Wi-Fi issues, but with this 4.18 on Q4OS 3.3, I've had no trouble at all. Same with Netrunner running off of the testing repos, Debian testing repos. I've had no hardware issues. Everything's been working great. And I've even got the Nvidia Optimus drivers up and running and working properly. And we can just see Optirun GLX gears here. I'll get back to this in a second because there were a couple little snags where I had to get this up and running. But if you have a look here in the corner in the system tray down here, it shows that it's up and running. There is still a bug where it's showing this text here instead of it's supposed to show the temperature as an overlay. Not a big deal because normally when I'm running something on my Nvidia card, it is full screen anyways, so no big deal. I don't even see this when I'm gaming, so it doesn't really matter. But anyways, getting back to the hardware stability part of it, one thing I find odd is I have a little exclamation mark next to my network icon. I don't know why it still works. I've had no problems running my network, and I don't know why the little exclamation mark's there. Sometimes it goes away on its own and it'll randomly come back. Sometimes it doesn't come back till I reboot, but either way, it's a very minor bug. Again, this is testing, so very minor bug. Not too worried about the exclamation mark. Really, it doesn't actually do anything wrong. So software-wise, OS-wise, it's very recent new KDE version. It has a couple of cool features. I like the new system settings. It's got this sidebar here instead of the old mishmash of icons. So it's going in a direction that GNOME kind of went as well, where they used to have the system settings where it was just a bunch of icons everywhere you had to scroll through. And they also changed to this menu bar on the side where it's broken down into different categories. So this is nice. What's also nice is the new ability to blur backgrounds. So you can see the transparency has a blur. Normally it's nice and clear, but with the new KDE, there's this blur effect. So it's nice because you can leave it semi-transparent and it doesn't really interfere with the text. It's still nice and readable, and normally I'm tweaking the background transparency a lot so that it doesn't interfere, but with this it really makes the text in front crisp and clean. So this is something that it's just eye candy really, but it's something that's really nice to have. You can see here I did an apt-get update and there are some errors, but they're not bad errors. The errors are that there's no i386 in the repos for the Q4OS.os.org server, which is fine because the i386 is what I need from the Debian servers, which works and it's fine. The reason why I needed i386 is to install Steam and also to install the files necessary to get the Nvidia Optimus hybrid graphics working. I'll talk about that briefly here now. You know what? Actually, while I'm still on the subject of versions and whatnot, I just want to talk about some of the software that's included in Debian Buster / testing. When I say Buster, it's currently testing. So Firefox was one thing that it was a little bit older, but I managed to get version 6.2 up and running, Quantum 6.2, but I kind of cheated a little bit. If you just go to Firefox download, you can download the zip file so that you're not installing it, you're just running it in your system. And I'll show you where that is actually downloaded to. Let me just find this here. So the new Firefox, fast for good. So I just typed Firefox download now, and I don't want to do this. Save. All right, so this Firefox 6.2 tar file, save it and extract it into the root OPT folder in Firefox, and then just make sure that the Firefox folder is readable. It should be readable. You need, of course, administrator rights to copy everything in here, and then the Firefox executable is here. So I have Firefox not installed at all on this system, and the Firefox shortcut actually just points to that binary that I just showed you. So kind of a workaround, but I have Firefox 6.2 running now, so that's fine. Other software, the terminal, let's see, Kdenlive, this is something that I use. Maybe you won't use it, but it is the latest version. It's 18.08, so that's fantastic. And GIMP is 2.10, so that's nice. You know, this is like the best of Debian, and it's still very stable. Some things can still go wrong, so as I always say, back up everything. Back up. I've had no problems so far. Steam, of course, the latest. I'm not even going to open that. LibreOffice Writer is LibreOffice 6. So you have everything. Everything is the latest and greatest except for Firefox, which is not a big deal. Krita is 4.1.1, which is the latest version, which they've had a Reddit AMA very recently that I tweeted about, and they're working on it. It's a big project. There's a lot to do, but they're working on fixing the bugs currently, and then performance improvements will come after that. So I'm really looking forward to the Krita development. What else do we have? Internet. Q4OS comes with Conqueror because it also comes with the Trinity desktop and the Plasma. You can also install GNOME, XFCE for LXDE. Pretty much any desktop can be installed as well. Check out the card that I had linked earlier on the initial Q4OS review on details about how that works and how you install things. It's actually quite good. It's a really good setup. Multimedia, Pulse Audio, VLC. VLC is the latest version. Office, LibreOffice, the entire suite. System settings, you've got Gparted, HTOP, Info Center, Console, all the usual stuff. So I'm not going to go through everything that is here unless it stands out as being something new. You've got Discover, which is the KDE software package manager. And utilities, yeah, standard utilities. Spectacle VirtualBox, which is nice, and its latest version as well. So really, really awesome set of new software. And I've had no stability problems. I have no screen recording problems. I'm glancing over at my recording screen quite a bit here, so I'm a little distracted sometimes because I want to make sure there are no glitches showing up in the recording, because I had that issue in KDE Manjaro where there was a bunch of flickering, and no matter what I did, I tried everything and I couldn't get rid of it short of disabling the compositor completely. That's not really an option for me. So as for the Nvidia Optimus drivers, if you go to Google, and the website is actually, you can Google Debian Bumblebee, but it's actually wiki.debian.org/bumblebee. If you go here, it's going to tell you how to install Bumblebee, which is what the Nvidia Optimus GPU setups use to switch back and forth in between the Intel and the Nvidia graphics. So if you go through here, the instructions are pretty straightforward. You're going to run this. So sudo apt-get install bumblebee-nvidia and Primus. So you're going to install that, and you're going to run this command here. So what this command here does is it adds the i386 architecture, does an update, and then it installs some necessary i386, which are 32-bit packages. So this gives you some compatibility with things like Steam. So you run that. Wheezy you can skip. This you can skip. And post-installation, add user to the Bumblebee group. Now it'll likely tell you that it's already been done, because when you install some of this stuff, it does it for you. But do this yourself anyways, just in case. The worst that's going to happen is it's going to say, nope, the user's already added to the group. Then you just carry on. So this works with Q4OS using Debian Stretch, so Q4OS 2.6. It also works with Q4OS 3.3, which is what I'm using now, the latest Debian Buster packages. And this also works on Netrunner, which is also Debian-based. So this is a bit of an update on these three Debian-based distros. I'm sure it'll work with different distros as well that are Debian-based. It should also work on Debian, of course. Now, you might still run into another quick issue, two other quick issues, which I'll show you. One thing is, let me just zoom this in. If we go to this folder, usr lib i386-linux-gnu. In here, there is a file called libgl.so.1. Where is it? Right there. This file here. Now, Optimus, or Optirun, needs this file to be in this folder, NVIDIA, in here. So this wasn't here before, but this is where Optirun looks to load this file, this libgl. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to open a terminal, and I did it before, so I'm going to just, let's do this and do i386. This is just a quick trick to search for commands you've done before to aid in repetition. So, sudo, let me just make sure that you can see this and I make the text big enough. So you're going to go into the NVIDIA folder, and you're going to go sudo ln-s user lib i386 linux gnu libgl.so.1. So you're going to point to that original file and then space /. So what that's going to do is it's going to create a symlink to the other file. So if you don't know what symlinks are, check that out. Otherwise, just run this command and you're good to go. So this will create the symlink here, which points to this file here. And then this file points to the actual .so.1 file. Now you also have to go into lib x86 underscore 64-linux-gnu. So you go in here, and this also has the libgl, no, where is it? libgl.so.1. And this also has the Nvidia folder. So you have to do the same thing here and create the libgl.so.1 symlink here using the same command that I just showed you, except you just change this to be x86 underscore 64 dash Linux. So you do that and it will create the symlink in the current folder that you're in. And then you're sort of good to go. Why I say you're sort of good to go is there's an issue with the GLVND, which is the GL vendor neutral dispatch driver package. Anyways, what GLVND does is it allows multiple video drivers to live harmoniously on one system without completely taking over or interfering with each other. Now, the way that updates have been happening so far is it has prevented that from working properly. So when you would do opt-to-run, this is a fix for almost any system really, by the way, recent systems. So if you do opt-to-run glx gears and you get a black window and then eventually it just crashes, you're going to do a little test here and do __ glvnd _ disallow _ patching equals 1, then opt-to-run glx gears. Then you're going to get the gears come up and it's going to work as normal. And you can see I had a little glitch I saw here in the recording, but that's okay. So then your gears will work. It doesn't, that glitch didn't show up on my screen, by the way. I only saw it on the recording. So then it'll work properly as it should. Now, in things like Steam, you could add all of this with the %command to be able to run it, which will work. But an easier way is to do a sudo nano etc environment. And you're going to enter in your password, but because I've done it recently, it doesn't ask for it. Then you're going to add the _ glvnd _ disallow _ patching equals 1 to this file, save it, exit, and you're going to log out and log back in. Once you do that, then you could just do opt-to-run glx gears. You don't have to type the disallow patching thing beforehand, and it will work properly. So hopefully that helps you no matter what Debian distro you're using. And it definitely works, as I've shown with this Q4OS distro, both 2.6 and 3.3. And this also works in Netrunner with the newest updates. Hold on, don't put this in the edit because I don't want that name showing. And my libraries are there. Okay. All right, so now I can show you in Steam, go to my library, City Skylines, for example, go to the properties, set launch options. So you can see here, I had that entire thing beforehand. The 2 underscores, glvnd disallow patching equals 1, opt-to-run %command %. So now that I've done that patching in the etc/environment file, I can have just optirun %command %. Do that. Let me just zoom back out. Close and play. Preparing to launch. And now it'll run. You saw my Nvidia just pop up there really quick. And there's a blur showing up on my recording, but I don't know why. But anyways, as you can see, I can see it on the recording now. It's nice and clean, working properly, other than, being as slow as City Skylines is when it loads. But here you go. This is, get rid of that volume. Turn this down. I'm sure you guys don't care about that. So here we go, City Skylines. I didn't copy my save games yet to this machine, to this partition, I should say. This is still running. This is running the games I'm testing, but I haven't made this my permanent distro yet. I will copy everything from my Manjaro or my Q4OS 2.6 since I've copied everything there as well. But I'm just going to show you, wait for this to load up here and show you that it does actually work. I've never screen recorded at the same time as playing a game. So let's just see. On the Nvidia, I should say. I did record Steam Dig on another video, but that was using my Intel GPU. This is the first time using my Nvidia GPU. So hopefully it's nice and smooth on the recording. It's nice and smooth on my screen, that's for sure. So yeah. So as you can see, and water effects, that seems pretty smooth on the recording too. So yeah, works very well. I'm just looking for any screen tearing on the recording. Nope, looks good. So yeah, works great. Quit the desktop. So really happy with this setup, really happy with the distro. I'm happy with how everything is stable and new and recent and up to date. But you know what? If you're playing with this Buster and this testing repo, be aware that things can go wrong. So if your Optimus isn't working, I don't know, you'd maybe wait until there's updates or, switch back to using the Debian stable. So if you're having issues, and one thing that I've had, it's happened a couple of times where I log out of a game and all the window title bars are gone. I think that's KWin crashing, possibly. Not sure. I haven't been able to figure out what is actually happening, and I'm still digging through log files trying to figure that out, but it hasn't happened that much. So if you're having troubles getting Optirun up and running, if you're having issues when you exit a game, if things are frozen or crashed, or if you're having just problems in general, I'd strongly suggest going back to Q4OS 2.6 and just running Debian stable. You could still do the trick like I did on Firefox and move your Firefox into the /opt folder and run it that way. Works perfectly fine. And one thing while I'm on the subject of Firefox that I have an issue with in the newest KDE is because I got rid of the title bar, which is an option here. I did this in a video specifically on Firefox. So you have your title bar, but it takes extra room, right? So you've got this title bar on top, and it has the window edges all the way around that you can grab and resize. So the problem is when you get rid of that, you can't resize anymore. There's nothing to grab on the corners or the edges anywhere to resize the window. Luckily with KWin, if you hold Alt and you use the right click button on your mouse to drag, you can resize this way. So you just grab anywhere near a certain corner or edge and you can resize. So again, hold Alt, right mouse button and drag. But if you're running in maximized windows all the time anyways, it doesn't really matter. So that is my update on Q4OS 3.3. Again, very stable, no problems so far, and hopefully you give it a try. Let me know if you've used Debian testing before, specifically with Buster, and have you encountered any problems? I'd like to know, so post it down in the comments. And I'd also like to hear if you've ever tried Q4OS, or if you've tried Netrunner for that matter. I'm really into this Debian distro thing recently. I've been using Manjaro rolling release for so long now, and it's nice having the newer software, but it's also nice coming back to this stable environment of Debian, even though currently right now I'm playing around in the slightly more risky testing area. So yeah, let me know down in the comments, what are you using? How's it working for you? Are you having any issues? Do you have any suggestions? Do you have any tips to share with the rest of the community? Post it down. Don't forget to click that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And most importantly, don't forget to share this video on your social media accounts. So I'd like to give a huge shout out and thank you to my Patreon patrons who really helped make this channel possible. My executive producer, Nuno, also Carlos, Arknos, Carl, George, Matt, Kit Says, and Ronald. Thank you guys so much for contributing to my channel. You guys help me contribute back to the Linux community. If you'd like to help me by contributing to my channel, head on over to patreon.com/dorian.slash. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Until next time, bash on.